Okay, Prabhuji. Am I audible, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Prabhujis and Matajis. So I take this as a seva so that I can do swadhyaya and I can develop myself. So that is the reason I'm taking this seva. So let us start with Mangala Charan prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ajanulambita bhujau kanakavadhato sankirtanaika pitaro kamalaya Vishwambharo dvijavaro yugadharma palo Vande jagat priyakaro karunavataro. Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrind Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna Prabhujis and Matajis. So I pay obeisances to Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada, my Diksha Guru, my Siksha Gurus, and to all the devotees assembled here so that I can speak little according to the Parampara and I can glorify the Lord. As Prabhuji has mentioned that this week is the holy name of the week and we all know Mahaprabhu's one of the external reason is to Yuga Dharma Palo, to establish the Yuga Dharma. Mahaprabhu advented in this material world. So my set of verses today which I'm going to speak is from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 1, entitled The Later Pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. So just a recap of what we have heard in the last class spoken by Bharat Prabhu. So we all know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in ecstasy when he saw Lord Jagannath in the temple. So he recited a verse. Okay. So then at the same time, Rupa Goswami understood the inner meaning of Mahaprabhu and he also wrote a similar verse. And he did not tell to anyone. Actually, he hid it inside the roof. Actually, every day after taking darshan of Jagannath, so Mahaprabhu used to meet Haridas Thakur, Sanatana Goswami, and Rupa Goswami. So why they didn't enter the temple? So in the last class, Bharat Prabhu has mentioned. Okay, so then Mahaprabhu, when he came to meet Rupa Goswami, so Rupa Goswami at that time went to bathe. So Mahaprabhu saw a paper which was hid inside the roof. So Mahaprabhu took it out, and when he read the verse, so he asked Swarupa Damodar Goswami that how could he understand my inner meaning. So then Swarupa Damodar Goswami says that because you have given your causeless mercy, I mean your blessings, so Rupa Goswami could understand. So that is what was. So now today we'll see what was the verse which was recited by Mahaprabhu in front of Jagannatha. So Madhya Lila, chapter 1, verse number 76. Priya so ayam Krishna sachari Kurukshetra militas Tataham saradha tat idam ubhayo sangama sukham Tathapi anta khelan madhura murali panchamajushe Manon me kalindi pulina vipinaya sprihayati. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. This is a verse spoken by Srimati Radharani, my dear friend. Now I have met my very old dear friend Krishna, on this field of Kurukshetra. I am the same Radharani and now we are meeting together. It is very pleasant, but still I would like to go to the banks of Yamuna beneath the trees of forest there. I wish to hear the vibration of his sweet flute playing the fifth note within that forest of Vrindavan. So this is a verse which appears in the Padhyavali compiled by Srila Rupa Goswami, but originally spoken by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I'll read some of these verses, then I'll try to give a summary of them. The next verse, Yei shlokera sanksiptartha suna bhakta gana Jagannatha dekhi aiche prabhura bhavana. Now, devotees, please hear a brief explanation of this verse. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was thinking in this way after having seen the Jagannath deity. Sri Radhika Kurukshetre Krishnera Darshana Yadyapi Payena Tabu Bhavena Aichana. The subject of his thoughts was Srimati Radharani, who met Krishna on the field of Kurukshetra. Although she met Krishna there, she was nonetheless thinking of him in the following ways. Raja Vesha Hati Ghoda Manushya Gahana Kahan Gopa Vesha Kahan Nirjana Vrindavana. She thought of him in the calm and quiet atmosphere of Vrindavana, dressed as a cowherd boy. But at Kurukshetra, he was in a royal dress and was accompanied by elephants, horses, and crowds of men. Thus, the atmosphere was not congenial for their meeting. Sei Bhava, Sei Krishna, Sei Vrindavana, Yabe Paye Tabe Haya Vanchita Purana. Thus, the meeting with Krishna and thinking of the Vrindavan atmosphere, Radharani longed for Krishna to take her to Vrindavan again to fulfill her desire in that calm atmosphere. Okay, so in relation to this, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami quotes a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam also. I'll read that also, then I'll try to summarize. Ahuschate nalina nabhapadara vindam Yogeshwarai hriday vichintya agada bodhai Samsara kupa patito navalambam Geham jushamapi manasi udhiya sadana. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. The gopis spoke thus, Dear Lord, whose navel is just like the lotus flower, your lotus feet are the only shelter for those who have fallen into the deep well of material existence. Your feet are worshipped and meditated upon by great mystic yogis and highly learned philosophers. We wish that these lotus feet may also be awakened within our hearts, although we are the ordinary persons engaged in the household affairs. So this is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, 82nd chapter, 48th verse. And this is the last verse of this particular chapter in the 10th canto, that is 82nd, entitled Balramji and Krishna meeting all the residents from all the planets, even Dwaraka and Vrindavan. So actually, so here the verse which was spoken by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so it is said that when Radharani met Krishna, so we all know that in this particular chapter, all the residents from Vrindavan, from Dwaraka and Mathura, even all the Pandavas, so they come to Kurukshetra place. So we know that Kurukshetra is a very historical, not only historical place, Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetra. So that's what it is mentioned in the first verse of Sri Bhagavad Gita. So on the solar eclipse day, it's a very auspicious time because solar eclipse is considered little more auspicious than the lunar eclipse. So on a solar eclipse day, all the residents came to do the religious activities, and they all met each and everyone. So all the residents of Vrindavan, they met the residents of Mathura. So in that meeting, so Kunti Mata meets say father of Vasudev, that is the Vasudev who is the father of Krishna, and even Draupadi meets all the wives of Krishna. So in this way, each and everyone meets, and the center of topic is Krishna. So as it's said in Bhagavad Gita, in the Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita, Mat Chitta Madgata Prana Bodhayanta Parasparam Katayantascha Mam Nitya Tushyanticha Ramanticha. So all the Vasis, those who are present there, so their only topic is only one thing, that is about Krishna. So this is what we should learn from them, that whenever the devotees meet, so generally they also speak the same thing, that so Krishna is the center of all the activities. So in this way, Krishna met all the residents. So at last he came to gopis, because gopis of Vrindavan, so they also came to Kurukshetra. So at that time, so we all know that who is the topmost gopi. The topmost gopi is Srimati Radharani. So this is mentioned in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, written by Sanatana Goswami. So when Radharani sees Lord Sri Krishna, okay, so she's seeing that Radharani is mentioning that he's the same Krishna, and I mean she's the same Radharani, but still I would like to go to the banks of Yamuna beneath the trees of the forest, because whatever pastimes they had in Vrindavan, so those are the memorable pastimes. So which Radharani want to relish? She doesn't want to relish in any other place. Only the want to relish in Vrindavan. Because even though Krishna left Vrindavan and went to Mathura and then to Dwaraka, but he is present there with all the Vrindavan Vasis. So that's what. And she wants to hear the vibration of the sweet flute playing, because we all know that Krishna is also called as Murali, because the way he plays the flute. So then Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami is explaining that when she met Krishna, okay, so in which way Krishna was dressed, so that's what it is mentioned in verse number 79. Raja Vesha Haiti Ghoda Manushya Ghana. So in Vrindavan, so here the comparison has been done, that how Krishna lived in Vrindavan and how Krishna is living in Dwaraka. So Dwaraka, Krishna is the king, but in Vrindavan, he is just like a cowherd boy. So simply dressed with Vaijayanti Mala, and he was playing with his friends. So Radharani is saying that Raja Vesha Haite Goda. So in Vrindavan, Krishna always used to be accompanied by cows. But in Dwaraka, so he was accompanied by city animals like horses and elephants. So that's what it is. Kahan Gopa Vesha, Kahan Nirjana Vrindavana. So the atmosphere was not conjugal for her. Even though she met the same Krishna, same Radharani, the atmosphere was not favorable for Radharani. She was not, because he is in a king Vesha. So that's what it is mentioned in the 79th verse. So, and even in the further, Radharani is mentioning that the meeting with Krishna and thinking of Vrindavan atmosphere, Radharani longed for taking. So we all know that the reason for celebrating Rath Yatra also is one of the reason, because when Krishna was leaving Vrindavan to Mathura, so Krishna promised them that he will come back. But he didn't come back. So for that purpose, so they want to take back Krishna from Kurukshetra to Vrindavana. So that's what, even the 7 days from the main temple to the Gundicha. So Gundicha is considered as Vrindavan. So Krishna, along with his gopis and Gopabalas, they enjoy for 7 days in Gundicha, and after 7 days again he comes back to the main temple, which is called as Dwaraka. So this is one of the relative pastime which we can say. So here the verse which is spoken, quoted in Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto 82nd chapter. So this is the gopis, as I told, they have spoken saying, because this after meeting everyone, so when Krishna came to meet the gopis, so Krishna told was chastising them, saying that, do you remember me? So do you know who I am? So in that way, anyway, Krishna knows that Krishna is always residing in the heart of gopis. The same thing with Krishna also, because he also even the topmost gopis he likes very much. So here he was just chastising, and he was giving an analogy saying that the way the logs in the water, they meet for some time, after that they get departed. In the same way, we also got departed. So when Krishna spoke such type of words, so here the last verse which was spoken by the gopis is that, dear Lord, whose navel is just like a lotus flower, your lotus feet are the only shelter for those who have fallen into the deep well of material existence. So they are saying that, they are pleading the Lord that please always we wish these lotus feet may be in the may also be awakened within our hearts. So they are not the normal people. They are the greatest devotees. We have seen how Narada Muni went in search of the greatest devotee. So I don't want to go in detail about that. So in that way, Narada Muni, through all the devotees, so he came to know that the topmost are the Vrajavasis, and out of the Vrajavasis, the gopis are the topmost. And of all the gopis, even Radharani is the topmost gopi. So that's the reason Mahaprabhu's internal reason for advent is also what Radharani feels, what kind of pleasure Radharani has when she sees Krishna. So So that is one of the reason for Mahaprabhu's advent. So that's what they are saying, that always please reside in our heart. So even similar to this verse, even Kunti Maharani prays to Lord Krishna saying that Nama Pankajanabhaya, Nama Pankajamaline, Nama Pankajanetraya, Namaste Pankajangre. So every, as Kunti Maharani says that Namo Pankajanabhaya, even here they are also saying that your navel is just like the lotus flower. So they are comparing Krishna to the lotus flower. Even Kunti Maharani says, Namaste Pankajangre. So everything is lotus. So you are the topmost. So that's what in that way they were praising the Lord, and they are asking the Lord to please always reside in their hearts. So because how the yogis, they meditate upon the Lord, in the same way, please be present in our heart. In that way, gopis are requesting the Lord, and they see the way they are being so humble, that saying that we are the only ordinary persons engaged in household life. So we all know how topmost are they. Even though they are engaged in the whole household life, they don't have any lust. So their only desire is to keep Krishna happy. So that was the only desire which they always hanker for. So let us go to the next verse. We'll see. तोमारा चरण मोरा व्रजपुरा घरे उदय करया यदि ताबे वांछा पुरे. The gopis thought, dear Lord, if your lotus feet again come to our home in Vrindavan, our desire will be fulfilled. So they want Lord to come back to Vrindavan. So in the purport, Prabhupada is mentioning that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments that gopis are purely engaged in the service of the Lord without any motive. They are not captivated by the opulence of Krishna, nor by understanding that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we all know that the devotional service, whatever they do, is pure. Because we know the pastimes that once when Krishna wanted to show that how gopis are the topmost. So Krishna said that he's having headache. So please ask some dust of their lotus feet of my devotees so that my headache can be removed. So then Narad Muni goes first to the Devatas. So Devatas, so they say that no, we cannot give our dust. Even wives of Krishna also. So they also will be afraid, no, we won't. But then when Narad Muni approaches gopis, so gopis are ready to give, even they are ready to go to hell. So that is why comparatively between, when we see the comparison between the wives of Krishna and the gopis are considered as the topmost, because they want to see only happiness in Krishna. It is not that the wives of Krishna, they don't want to see, but still the love of gopis is considered as the topmost according to our acharyas. And they are not captivated by the opulence. See, when they saw Krishna in the Kurukshetra with all the royal look, so they didn't accept that kind of look of Lord Krishna. So they wanted only Krishna as a cowherd boy who is playing with the gopis and gopabalas and with the cows. So that kind of look they want, but they are not attracted by the royal look. So naturally the gopis were inclined to love Krishna, for he is an attractive young boy of Vrindavan village. Each and every gopi. So here when we see the pastimes, every gopi, even elderly gopis are also, they are attracted in Vatsalya. In that way also they are attracted to Lord Krishna. So being village girls, they were not much attracted in the field of Kurukshetra. So as I mentioned previously, whereas Krishna was present with the elephant, with the royal. So they didn't like the royal attire of Lord Sri Krishna. They want Krishna as a cowherd boy so that they can relish those pastimes once again. So similarly, gopis were attracted to Krishna as a cowherd boy, not in a sophisticated guise. Lord Krishna is inconceivably powerful. To understand him, the great yogis and saints persons give up all material engagements and meditate upon him. Similarly, those who are overly attracted to material enjoyment to enhance the material opulence, to family maintenance or liberation from the entanglement of this material world, take the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we all know that in Bhagavatam, in 2nd canto, 3rd chapter, 10th verse, it says, Akama sarvakamo va moksha kama udharati tivrena bhakti yogena yadante purusha param. So for anything it may be, Akama, sarvakama or moksha kama, whatever it may be. So we take shelter of the Lord Sri Krishna. So that's what it is said that. So from entangled material world, we take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But why gopis are considered as topmost? So here Prabhupada explained that, but such activities and motivations are unknown to the gopis. So they are not at all interested in such type of material entanglement. So they just want to see transcendental pleasure having with Lord Sri Krishna. They are not at all expert in executing such auspicious activities. So because they said that we are just an ordinary women, so we are not so well educated in that. So already transcendentally enlightened, they simply engage their purified senses in the service of the Lord in the remote village of Vrindavan. So they always want to render service. So they will always want to see Krishna happy. In any way, if Krishna is happy, so they feel very happy. So the gopis are not interested in dry speculation in any. So their benefit, they are the benefit of all understanding of material enjoyment and renunciation. Their only desire is to see Krishna return and enjoy the spiritual transcendental pastimes with them. So the gopis want him to simply stay in Vrindavan so that they can render service unto him for his pleasure. There is not even a tinge of personal sense gratification. So this is what very important. So they don't want anything. They are not at all selfish. They always want to render some service to the Lord so that they can see Lord happy. So this is the understanding. Even Uddhava in 10th canto, I think 47th chapter in that is Song of Bee, that is Brahmara Gita. Even Uddhava also glorifies, saying that all gopis are successful and universally worshipped as they have dedicated their minds in this way towards the Lord. So we all know that Uddhava was sent by Lord Sri Krishna as a messenger, so that they can pacify Uddhava can pacify the gopis. So, but when Uddhava met the gopis, he understood why gopis are considered as the topmost devotees of the Lord, because of their unmotivated love and without any selfish motto. So that kind of love they had. So even they have established an unexcelled standard of pure devotional service. That's what we have seen in the past time, that any circumstance we may go, it doesn't matter, but still we want to render service to the Lord so that Lord can be happy. So this is the main motto. So in the same way, this is what all the gopis were thinking. So especially even Radharani is also thinking in the same way. So coming to the next verse. So even Kunti Maharani in her prayers in the first canto, 1 minute, in the first canto, eighth chapter, the verse number is 36. Even Kunti Maharani says that Trinvata Gayanti Grinanti Abhishekinaha Smaranti Nandanti Tave Hitam Janaha Ta Eva Pashyanti Acharena Tavakam Bhava Pravaho Paramam Padam Bhujam. So Kunti Maharani also says that, "O Krishna, those who continuously hear, chant and repeat your transcendental activities or take pleasure in others doing so, certainly see your lotus feet. So which alone can stop the repetition of birth and death." So they always want to enjoy with the Lord, not in a lusty way. So the same thing, even Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami explains in Adi Lila in chapter 4, I think from verse number 85. So what kind of love the gopis have towards the Lord, which is not a lustier one. Okay. So coming to the next verse, in the 83rd verse, Bhagavatera shloka Budhartha Vishada Karina Rupa Gosani Sloka Kaila Loka Bhujaina. In one verse, Srila Rupa Goswami has explained the confidential meaning of the verse of Srimad Bhagavatam for the understanding of general populace. So as we discussed previously, that what Rupa Goswami has written. So now in the 84th verse, it is revealed. Ya te lila rasa parimalogdari vanya parita dhanyaksho vilasita vrita madhuri bhir tatrasmabhir chatula pashupi bhava mugdantara bhir samvitatvam kalayan vadanolasi venum viharam. The gopis continued, "Dear Krishna, the fragrance of the mellows of your pastimes is spread throughout the forest of the glorious land of Vrindavan, which is surrounded by the sweetness of the district of Mathura. In the congenial atmosphere of that wonderful land, you may enjoy your pastimes with your flute dancing on your lips and surrounded by us, the gopis whose hearts are always enchanted by unpredictable ecstatic emotions. So this is the same purport. This is a verse from Lalita Madhava 10.38 by Rupa Goswami. So this is a verse which has the same inner meaning which was written by Rupa Goswami. So Rupa Goswami wrote two dramas. One is Lalita Madhava and the other one is Vidagdha Madhava. So Lalita Madhava describes the pastimes of Vrindavan and Vidagdha Madhava describes the pastimes of Mathura and Dwaraka. So it also gives the same similar meaning which Mahaprabhu also spoke. Coming to the 85th verse. Yei mata Mahaprabhu dekhi Jagannatha Subhadra sahite dekhi vamsi nahi hatte. In this way, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw Jagannath, he saw that the Lord was with his sister Subhadra and was not holding a flute in his hand. To the next verse. Tribhanga Sundara Vrajendra Nandana Tribhanga Sundara Vrajendra Nandana Kahan Pabe Ye Vancha Bade Anukshana. Absorbed in the ecstasy of the gopis, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wished to see Lord Jagannath in his original form as Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, standing in Vrindavan, appearing very beautiful, his body curved in three places. His desire to see that form was always increasing. Next, Radhika Unmadhayaiche Uddhava Darshane Udghurna Pralapataiche Prabhura Ratri Dine. Just as Srimati Radharani talked inconsistently with a bumblebee in the presence of Uddhava, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his ecstatic ecstasy talked crazily and inconsistently day and night. So actually, so as it is, what do you say? The name of entitled as the later pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. So these are very deeply or very scrutinizingly explained in the Antya Lila. But Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami has given a synopsis of this. Why? Because we all know that Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami, by the time he started writing Chaitanya Charitamrita, he was very old. Okay, more than 90 plus. So he wants to give, because Madhya Lila and Antya Lila were not explained vividly by Vrindavan Das Thakur in Chaitanya Bhagavat. So that is the reason first he has given the synopsis, and after later we find all these ecstatic symptoms of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Antya Lila, the last part of the chapters. So that's what he is giving, just a synopsis so that we can understand about Mahaprabhu. So here it is mentioned that this Unmada or madness is not an ordinary madness. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu talked inconsistently, almost like a crazy fellow, he was in the transcendental ecstasy of love. In the highest transcendental ecstasy, there is a feeling of being enchanted in the presence of the enchanter. So actually, I don't remember the chapter name, but in Antya Lila, when you read, so you'll find the way Mahaprabhu feels in ecstasy. Sometimes he thinks that Chataka Parvat as the Govardhan Parvat, and he runs to that particular place, and thinking about Radharani, he hits himself on the walls. So in this way, that ecstasy can be read in the Antya Lila. So that is what, because of separation, because we all know that Mahaprabhu's advent is what Radharani feels and what kind of separation Radharani experienced being away from Krishna. So that is what it is shown through Mahaprabhu. So he always, because he is separated, when the enchanter and the enchanted become separated, that bewilderment occurs. So I don't know more in detail, so I cannot explain this in detail. So when they are manifest, one appears, there is imaginative discourse, and one experiences emotions like those of a madman. So so here Prabhupada is giving a example that how Uddhava has seen when he went to meet Radharani. So here Uddhava is saying that, my dear Krishna, because of your extreme feeling of separation from you, Srimati Radharani is sometimes making her bed in the grooves of the forest, sometimes rebuking a bluish cloud, and sometimes wandering about in the dark dens of the forest. Thus she has become like a crazy woman. So even when Uddhava went to see Radharani, this is in the Brahmara Geet, so she talks to the bee, and she thinks that it is Krishna, and the way she talks and reciprocates, so that's what Uddhava has seen, and he has told the same thing to Krishna, how Radharani is feeling the separation. So actually, even Krishna, when he was in Dwaraka, so we all know that one of the reason for Jagannath pastimes is that, so when the wives of Krishna, so when they see Krishna in a morose, because Krishna is always thinking about the gopis, so then they will ask Rohini Mata, so what happened to Krishna, because he was living a royal life, but still something Krishna is hankering, so what could it be? So when Rohini Mata explains about the pastimes of Vrindavan, so we all know that Krishna along with Subhadra Mai and Balarama, so they get immersed in those pastimes, so and that particular form appears, so when everything shrinks, so Narad Muni, so on his request, so we all got the that particular form of the Lord, so that we can take darshan. So always Krishna, even though he was away from Vrindavan, always he was in that particular mood. The same thing is experienced by even the gopis, especially Srimati Radharani. And further, Dwadasa Vatsara Seshaiche Gonila Yei Mata Sesha Lila Trividhane Kaila. The last 12 years of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were passed in this transcendental ecstasy. Thus, he executed his last pastimes in 3 ways. So this is what it is also explained in the Madhya Lila in the later chapters, how Mahaprabhu passed his transcendental craziness. In that, it is vividly explained. Sannyasi kari 26 vatsara kaila ye karma ananta paratare ke jani be marma. For the 24 years after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the renounced order, whatever pastimes he executed were unlimited and unfathomable. Who can understand the purport of such pastimes? So we all know that actually Mahaprabhu's taking sannyasa is also why, because when Mahaprabhu was in Gopi Bhava, when he was talking, so he was chastised by some of the um, students who are present there. Then Mahaprabhu took the sannyas ashrama so that he can set as an example to make them understand. So because even though in the household life also, Mahaprabhu was always, we know that he was in the Gopi mode. So that's what it is when here Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami is saying that the pastimes or which were enacted by Mahaprabhu are unlimited and unfathomable. So who can understand the purport of such pastimes? Only great devotees can understand. Further, Uddesha Karila Kari Digdarshana Mukhya Lila Kari Sutra Ganana. Just to indicate those pastimes, I am presenting a general survey of the chief pastimes in form of a synopsis. So as I mentioned previously that Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami is just giving us a synopsis. So now later from the 91st verse, some of the pastimes will be explained because he doesn't know when he is going to leave his body, so that's the reason he gave us the synopsis. So actually in the 10th verse which was quoted here, 10th canto 82nd verse in the 48th chapter, I'll just summarize the purport which was given by the disciples of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. So here in the purport it is mentioned that the translation in word meaning, revealing the jealous mode in which Gopi spoke these deceptively relevant words, Vishwanath Chakravarti Tagore gave these statements that, O directly manifest Supreme Soul, O crest of jewel of instructions and definite knowledge, you are aware of our excessive attachment to home, property, and family. Therefore, you previously had Uddhava to instruct us in the knowledge that dispels ignorance, and now you have done so yourself. So in this way, okay, so when they met Lord Sri Krishna, so they were explaining to Krishna. So, and they were accepting that we are only unindulgent cowherd women, but they are intelligent, but they considered out of humility that they are the unindulgent cowherd women. So how can this knowledge remain fixed in our hearts? So how can we meditate upon your feet? So in that way, they were um, even they were asking that how can we focus of realization for great souls like Brahma? So the way Brahmaji has meditated and attained your feet, so in that, how can we do in such way? So please be merciful to us and some way, somehow make it possible so that we can concentrate on you. Even though they are concentrating more, but still they are thinking themselves as very less. So that's what it is mentioned. And even they are requesting Lord Sri Krishna, saying that please do something to get out of this deep well of material life. So in that way, they are pleading to Krishna. So in this part, disciples of Srila Prabhupada, they are mentioning that pure devotees are not motivated by a desire for material elevation or spiritual liberation. And even if the Lord offers to them such benediction, the devotees refute. Even in second canto, if I'm not wrong, is I think in third or fourth chapter, same thing. There is a verse saying that about this 5 types of mukti. So devotees, they don't want any type. So their main aim is always to serve the Lord. Even Lord Sri Krishna, the quoted a verse which was spoken by Lord Sri Krishna in 11th canto, 20th chapter 34th verse, saying that because my devotees possess saintly behavior and deep intelligence, they completely dedicate themselves to me and do not desire anything else beside me, because they consider that Krishna is the topmost. Even if I offer liberation from birth and death, they do not accept. So it is quite appropriate, therefore, that the gopis respond with a trace of jealous anger to Lord Krishna, attempting to teach them Jnana Yoga. So they were little jealous, but at the same time, they showed their anger also with a trace. Because we all know that we always, our seniors and acharyas say that we should always follow the footsteps, Gopi Batur Padakamalyo Dasa Dasanu Dasa. So we should be always in that particular mode, because gopis are the topmost devotees of the Lord, and the way they humiliate themselves, saying that we are less intelligent or unintelligent, but they have the highest devotional service towards the Lord. And even Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that the word Gopi speaks in this verse may be interpreted as follows. Means, as O sun who directly destroys the darkness, we are scorched by the sun rays of the philosophical knowledge. So they are comparing themselves to the Chakora birds who can subsist only on the moonlight radiant. So in this way, so gopis are compared to the Chakora birds, and moonlight is Lord Sri Krishna. So they always want to see the beautiful face of Lord Krishna, and they want to enjoy the pastimes with Krishna. So they are pleading to Krishna, saying that please come back to Vrindavan, and in this way bring back our life. So even if Krishna says that please come to Dwaraka, so they are not at all interested to go and enjoy the opulence in Dwaraka, but still they want to have a simple life in Vrindavan. So here, even in the same purport, it is mentioned that, and if he says that come to Dwaraka, there we will enjoy together, they reply that Sri Vrindavan is a home and they are too attached it for them to take up the residence anywhere. So they don't want to go anywhere. They want to reside in Vrindavan, and they want also Krishna to join with them. And they also say that only there the gopis imply can Krishna attract them by wearing the peacock feather in his turban and playing the enchanting music with his flute. Only by his appearing again in Vrindavan can the gopis be saved, not by any kind of meditation. So no, not by any jnana or dhyana, only by, if again Krishna comes back to Vrindavan, and by hearing the flute voice which is played by Krishna, so they want to lead their life. So this is what it is explained in the these particular verses. So in the conclusion, it is said that we should always have the mercy of gopis, especially Radharani. So if we get the mercy of Radharani, so Krishna will also be pleased with us. So this is the summary of these particular verses, which I tried to summarize. So if any wrong thing I have done, so please correct me. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much, Mataji. So nicely you summarized Gopi Bhava in just 45 minutes. So nice and so sweet pastimes between gopis and Lord Vrindavan, and the mood of gopis nicely summarized. So this is a mood of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, that he is exhibiting. That itself shows, even though no one is talking, even revealing about his the real identity. Also, this mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that itself will exhibit or reveal who is he. The way he feels separation from the Lord when he sees Lord Jagannath. So that exactly the same mood of gopis and Radharani when they are separated from Krishna. And in verse 87, you're talking about enchanted and enchanter. That is very actually nice point. This is again essence of Gopi Bhav. Like the enchanter is the one who controls people, like who is a kind of a when someone is catching a snake and he plays that nadaswaram or whatever it is, so the snake will come under his control, and so that is a Krishna, and we are like a snakes who come under control of the snake person who is controlling them. So he's like Krishna is like magician, and we are coming under the spell of the magician. When the magician and we are separated, that is the mood of Gopi Bhav. Both the magician as well as the people who come under his spell, both are feeling separation, because they enjoy that feeling of separation more than in the presence. That is a mood of gopis. That is mood of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advises that no, that is a mood with which we need to do our chanting and devotional service. Not just chanting for the sake of our satisfaction, our pleasure. I did 16 rounds today. I did 32 rounds now during Holy Week of this World Holy Week. We are advised to chant more rounds, 32 rounds minimum as per Krishna Katha Desh. This one I saw the message in various groups. So it is not just 32 rounds a number, but 32 rounds of feelings of separation. So we need to feel more separation from the Lord. Every day we feel separation of Lord for 16 rounds of chanting. Now it's an opportunity to feel more separation from the Lord. That separation actually should be there every moment of our life. That is the whole purpose of this Holy Week, and the mood of Acharyas also. Thank you very much, Mataji. Thanks so much for nicely summarizing, nicely covering the mood of Gopis, mood of Radharani, and Lord Chaitanya. Thank you so much.
Prabhuji, I don't have much knowledge. I don't have much knowledge, Prabhu. Whatever I understood, I just explained. That's it.
Your understanding is very high, Mataji. So that's why I always admire your class. Very, very attentive in your class. That because that way many Matajis have this. We feel that okay, we Prabhujis are doing a great service, and actually Matajis are able to do much better service. They are doing all this, scripture reading of the scriptures and all, forming a groups, and that is a nice. So Mataji, your understanding is very high. Thank you, and we are very grateful that you are able to show the nectar, all of us. Devotees, any questions, comments? Any realizations, sharing of realizations? Anangmanja Mata, we're not hearing from you for a long time. We're missing you also in the class. Okay, if there are no questions, just go for announcements. Next week we will hear from Radhapati Krishna Prabhu after a long time. Again, one more gem from Krishna Katha Desh. Krishna Katha Desh, when I take the name itself, like I feel goosebumps. So wonderful devotees, wonderful activities going on there. Last week I also seen that Sankirtan department of Krishna Katha Desh, they launched the logo. So they have a separate department for Sankirtan, separate department for Shastrik studies, separate department for Bhakti Vrikshas, like a Bhakti Vriksha separate department of course that comes under Shastrik only. So likewise, for children education, they have separate division, and so nicely focused. I'm blessed to have the association of devotees, and of course, Mathura Desh is no less. We are all taking inspiration from Mathura Desh, Krishna Desh, and many Atras in GCC, all taking inspiration from Mathura Desh. So next week we'll hear from His Grace Radhapati Krishna Prabhu, followed by next just announcing in advance, Bhaktivinoda Mukunda Prabhu will be taking the class. Mata, you did up to verse 90, right?
Yes, Prabhuji, because the next context is different. So here till now the synopsis were given, so I have done till that, Prabhuji.
Radhapati Prabhu will take from verse 91 onwards. Then next week you'll meet. Mata, you can conclude glorifying Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Yes, Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, all the devotees. Thank you very much, Mataji, once again for taking your time and pouring the nectar of Lord Chaitanya Prabhu. So we'll conclude the session here. So we'll